Welcome to the Explainer. All right, today we're unpacking a massive update for one of the web's biggest languages. Let's get right into why PHP 8.5 is turning so many heads in the developer world.
So we're diving straight into PHP 8.5, and you can see from reactions like this that developers are pretty hyped. And honestly, it's for a really good reason. This update is absolutely packed with features meant to make your code cleaner, a whole lot safer, and just way more powerful.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about something every single developer has dealt with, probably more than they'd like to admit, just code clutter. You know the drill, right? You create these temporary variables just to pass the result from one function into the next. I mean, sure, it gets the job done, but it can make your code kind of clunky and a real pain to read later on. And here is the change, plain as day. Look at the left. That's the old way. See how it's this messy, multi-step thing? Now, look at the right. PHP 8.5 brings in this super clean, readable chain, all thanks to something new called the PipeOperator. So, what does it do? Well, the PipeOperator basically lets you read what's happening from left to right, in the order it actually happens. It completely gets rid of those confusing, inside-out nested function calls and just replaces them with this elegant, straightforward chain.
Yeah, it's a really simple change on the surface, but it totally transforms one of the most common coding patterns into something that's way more intuitive. And let's be honest, it's just a whole lot more satisfying to write. Okay, so we've got cleaner code. That's awesome. But this update goes deeper. Let's see how it helps us write safer code. We're going to look at a new feature that's all about catching those sneaky, silent bugs. The ones that cause the biggest headaches later. Just picture this for a second. You call a function, say something that gets a user's name, but then you completely forget to actually do anything with the name it gives you. You don't assign it to a variable, nothing. The worst part? Your code just runs, no errors. And boom, you've just created a really subtle but potentially major bug. And here's the solution, and it's brilliant. You can now add this hashtag NoDiscard attribute to your function. It's basically you telling PHP, hey, the thing this function returns, it's really, really important. Don't let anyone ignore it. So now if a developer calls that function and forgets to use the value, PHP will actually throw a warning. It's like having a built-in safety net. And this isn't just a minor thing. The impact is so big that developers are already saying this is one of the top 3 most important features in the entire 8.5 release. It's such a simple idea, but it makes your APIs dramatically safer. And you know what's really cool? These new features, they're designed to play nicely together. So remember that pipe operator from before? If you take a result from a NoDiscard function and pipe it into another function, PHP considers that used. So you get all that awesome safety without having to give up the clean, new syntax. It just works.
All right, so we've improved existing code, made it cleaner, made it safer. But PHP 8.5 doesn't stop there. It also brings in features that open the door to completely new ways of programming, entirely new patterns for designing our apps.
This next one, well, it really made a lot of developers do a double take. It's one of those wait, what moments, because it fundamentally changes where you're allowed to use dynamic logic in your code. So what does this actually mean for you? It means you can now stick functions, or closures if you want to get technical, in places that used to be totally off limits, places that were locked down to only static values, like a simple string or a number. And trust me when I say this is a huge deal.
So think about it. You can now embed validation logic right inside an attribute. Or you could define a really complex default value for a property using a function. You can even make a class constant a callable function. I mean, none of this was even remotely possible before. It just wasn't allowed.
This just blows the doors open for some seriously powerful new design patterns, especially for frameworks and big applications. And honestly, a reaction like this one says it all. The implications here are massive for the whole developer community.
Okay, so we've talked about some massive game-changing features, but the update isn't just about the big stuff. It's also packed with all these smaller but super useful quality of life improvements. The little things that just make your day-to-day coding life a bit easier. Take these 2 new functions, for example, array first and array last. Super simple, right? They make it dead easy to grab the first or last thing in an array without accidentally changing the array itself or messing with its internal pointer. It's a small thing, for sure, but a very welcome one.
And hey, if you spend any time on the command line, you're gonna love this. There's a new command flag, PHP-ini equals diff. It instantly tells you exactly which PHP settings you've changed from the default. This is an absolute time saver when you're trying to debug environment problems.
So let's zoom out for a second. When you put all of these pieces together, what's the big picture? What's the story that PHP 8.5 is really telling us? Well, it's clear that PHP 8.5 isn't just some random collection of new toys. It's a really clear statement about where the language is heading. It's all about improving the developer experience, our experience, and building a platform that's more robust, more modern, and a heck of a lot safer. When you get right down to it, this is an update that's just full of these awesome surprises and really powerful new tools. And they're not just tweaks, they're going to fundamentally change how we all write PHP, and definitely for the better. And that's our deep dive into PHP 8.5. It's a really significant leap forward for the language. It's making our code more expressive, way more secure, and you know what? It just makes it more fun to write. So the real question is, now that you've got all these new tools in your toolbox, what's the first old problem you're going to go solve with them?